Oscar-winning director Bong Joon just released his latest film, Mickey 17, at the time of this video anyway, and it had very lukewarm results at the box office or reception from what I saw anyway. And so, we're gonna be seeing how Mickey 17 and Bong Joon-ho's other 9 films ranks amongst each other. So, getting right into it, we have number 10. Tokyo. Now, Tokyo is like a 3-parter film, or 3 mini-films in one, with the third part only being directed by Bong Joon-ho. So when I say Tokyo, I only mean Tokyo Shaking, which is the part Bong Joon-ho directed. One thing I noticed about this film is the main guy kind of looks like Joji, or is it just me? Anyhow, in this mini-film we get a hikikimori, and a very well organized one at that. Pretty much just living his very close life in his home until a certain interaction and the unfortunate timing of, drumroll, an earthquake happened. I guess that's why it's called Tokyo Shaking. Anyway, I like the concepts this short film presents, the hikikimori lifestyle, the conditions of the setting, and more or less what direction the short film goes to. Though, in a sense, this just feels like a preview to what seems like a TV series or a full-length film, but then again, this short film had interesting concepts, but all we really get is like surface level things, or like frosting on the cake per se. So because of that, that sits at number 10. Now for the next one, I actually wasn't quite sure where to rank our next film. Number 9 and 8 are kinda interchangeable for me, but I guess for this video, number 9 is Mickey 17. Now a lot of people may disagree with this placing. I know some people like the film, I know a lot doesn't, but some may agree. But Mickey 17 was quite disappointing knowing Bong Joon-ho's caliber of work. But even without knowing how good his caliber of work is, or how good his films typically are, Mickey 17 just relatively falls flat in all of the concepts it wants to show. Yes, Robert Pattinson was amazing, and yes, the effects were astonishing, but beyond that, it's just silly, inconsistent things happening. One of the best things in the movie, or one of the best scenes in the movie, is the random scene before and the end that the main character just thinks of. And honestly, that was one of the more thrilling parts of the movie, but that absolutely went nowhere. And it was also oddly placed. But yeah, there's just a lot of elements in the movie that were just thrown in and just didn't sync up well overall. So sadly, it does go on number 9. So for number 8, we have Barking Dogs Never Bite. Now for number 8, I immediately wanted to stop watching after a particular scene 5 minutes into the movie, because as a pet owner, it was excruciatingly painful to watch, and I was so sure I was gonna place this movie last in this ranking because of it. But as the movie or the film goes, you get to see the irony of the outcomes of these characters. It's almost poetic at times. It has good comedic moments, interesting characters, it has cute dogs, if that's a plus, and the ending was well done. It's like ordering something new at a restaurant, getting it, and it isn't exactly what you wanted or expected, but it wasn't that good, but it wasn't so bad either. Even though it's dated and rough around the edges, the film was still an okay watch. Minus the first 10 minutes of the film anyway. At number 7, we have Incoherence. We have Bong Joon-ho's first short film, I believe, and that is Incoherence. What I really like about this is that it's another rather episodic type of film where there's 3 episodes or mini-films plus an epilogue. And when I first watched these, it was just rather silly short episodes, and I thought, well, I mean, it's his first short film, so guess I wasn't really expecting anything extraordinary. That is until the end of the film. It is subtle, yet spoke so much volume, especially considering the whole film, and this kind of writing you could tell also reflects in a lot of his later films. So overall, this short film may be rather random, but it honestly, when you finish the film, you see how it all wraps up, and it was honestly really well done. And at number 6, we have The Host. So I initially saw a web article that rated The Host as Bong Joon-ho's best film, and sadly, I have to disagree. The Host is about this mutated fish terrorizing an area of the city and the looming fear of the hazards or virus that seems to be up and about due to this incident, and a family trying to get a child back as this mutated fish seems to be preying on people and kidnap their little one. Now, while I do like the surprise with the virus revealed in the movie, I think the second half rather falls a little too flat. There's even some actual decent comedy that comes at the most randomest of times early in the film, but overall, due to how the second half rather falls a little too flat, it impedes the overall film. I do like the themes explored, even if briefly at times, regarding the environment, people having to do their jobs correctly, the hysteria regarding unexpected outbreaks, and the difficulties of family during tough times, as these do draw parallel during the pandemic, and does a good job alluding to it, as it's way ahead of its time, if you look at it and comparing it to the pandemic, I mean. Also, I don't mind the CGI, but it is very dated, just to note. Overall, strong first half, but I do think the second falters quite a bit. At number 5 is Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer is set in a post-apocalyptic Ice Age dystopian world centered in the last known vestige of humanity, in a train. The Mugen Train arc of Bong Joon-ho films per se, where we have our protagonist and crew basically being forced to slavery by the elites of the train, and so our characters rally against this oppression and aim to take over the train. I believe, to my knowledge, that this is also Bong Joon-ho's first action film, from the looks of it, or from what I've saw anyway. This is also the first Bong Joon-ho film I have seen, and honestly glad to have seen this, otherwise I would have never seen his other films because of it. Now, Snowpiercer feels rather inconsistent at times, which is my biggest gripe with the movie, but being limited to a movie runtime and already seems like it started halfway through a story, there was bound to be some instances or things that wasn't really gonna be explored well. Still, I think Bong Joon-ho did well with the material he had to work with. It was entertaining, it was engaging, you're looking forward to how the story progresses and rooting for the cast, and you're interested how the rest of the train is and wanting to see how far our characters go. So yeah, overall, still a solid movie. And at number 4, we have Okja. Now, Okja was a rather sad watch, especially at the end, so to avoid spoilers, Okja is this big old pig. Water buffalo, hippo maybe, something of the sort of that animal, and people are after him, so we get a girl trying to save her buddy. But I'm glad it's CGI instead of like in Barking Dogs, where it literally seems like they casted an actual dog. Maybe it was, but I really hope it wasn't. Anyhow, so Okja may seem like an advocate for being vegan or being a vegetarian, but I think it's more of a commentary on corporate greed disregarding moral ethics in order to produce a product. And the film shows how uncomfortable this is as we see it happening. Either way, don't think both ways of looking at it is incorrect. Certainly strong cases for both or either or, so if you're ever buying products, make sure it has the certified humane sticker, like on eggs and whatnot. This movie has a very good cast, by the way, like Paul Dano, Tilda Swinton, Giancarlo Esposito, and Jake Gyllenhaal, even if some people think he might have been a little too goofy. Overall, good movie, painfully impactful. Based on an actual real-life cold case, Memories of Murder centers around our group of cops trying to solve the series of murders occurring in a rather rural town. Film explores a lot about difficulties regarding law enforcement with lack of resources, lack of competence from the superiors or law enforcement in general, the dreadedness of working on this case, and the terror and outcomes that the murders gloom over the characters. This film is great. It is the most slow burn of slow burns of all the films, in my opinion. But as you get the time with the characters, you see how they develop throughout the film, and the runtime does help in that regard, since it is kind of long. It's like 2 hours or so, but I think most of Bong Joon-ho films are that long. Anyway, some people may say the ending of this film was anticlimactic, but considering how it was still a cold case at the time of the film was made, I think the ending hits every needed note it had to show the audience that same feeling that you got as you see the credits roll is the very core of what the film has been alluding to all this time. But yeah, overall, very solid film. I can honestly interchange Memories of Murder to be my number 1 or 2, since it's that good of a film. Mother is about a mom trying to prove his son's innocence as he is involved in the murder of a high school girl. Now, if Memories of Murder makes you relatively feel bad for the helplessness of the cops, this film makes you absolutely despise cops for their lackadaisicalness and incompetency. A lot of the characters here suck, not because they're poorly written, but it's very much so on purpose to drive home all the points the movie wants to do, and they do it quite well. The film shows how far a mom would go for her kid, the selfishness and bias that may occur from the parental relationship, and the movie's direction with the mom's arc is very well done. It's no surprise that Mother did very well, because it is a very solid movie, and to my knowledge, I think this won Bong Joon-ho way more mainstream appeal, and yeah, I mean, I could see why, despite how absolutely annoying it was to watch, in a good way, but it's still really, like, annoying to watch. Overall, Mother's a really good film, but a film that just kind of makes you hate everybody in the film, at least. And for number 1, we have Parasite. There's a reason this won a few Academy Awards, and for deserved merit. This movie was interesting from start to end. It's a story about a family who sees an opportunity to slowly integrate their whole family into this rich family's lives, thus Parasite. It has nice build up to subtle things that become very apparent later on in the film. The characters are all great, written well. Even certain things that seem random was well integrated in the story very well. It has tension, good comedy, great ending. It's pretty much a very complete movie and his best to date, in my opinion. And so that was ranking Bong Joon-ho's 10 films, to my knowledge, that I saw anyway. But yeah, feel free to comment below in your thoughts, what your ranking is, because I'm interested to see what you guys think of all of Bong Joon-ho's films. And yeah, thank you for watching. May your life be in Thamatsan. See you all tomorrow.